This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. The Biden administration is expected to propose expanding the kinds of renewable fuel production processes that are eligible to receive credits under the U.S. Renewable Fuel Standard Program, three sources familiar with the matter said. The move could help increase production of advanced biofuels, which include lower carbon products such as renewable diesel and sustainable aviation fuel, the sources said. It is expected to be included in a highly anticipated upcoming proposal that mandates the amount of biofuels that oil refiners must blend into their fuel mix, they said. The Environmental Protection Agency, which administers the RFS, plans to announce the blending mandate proposal in days, Reuters reported on Thursday, citing sources.
Crude prices ended little changed on Friday after erasing earlier big gains on growing worries that rising coronavirus cases and a new variant could reduce global oil demand. Earlier in the day, oil prices climbed more than $2 a barrel after producer group OPEC Plus said it could review its policy to hike output at short notice if a rising number of pandemic lockdowns chokes off demand. Brent futures rose 21 cents, or 0.3%, to settle at $69.88 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, crude ended 24 cents, or 0.4%, lower at $66.26.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Asia liquefied natural gas, LNG, prices fell this week as spot demand from China remained muted despite the start of winter and as natural gas supplies from Russia continued to flow steadily to Germany. But the drop in prices was kept in check by outages in Australia which curbed cargo loadings, trade sources said. The average LNG price for January delivery into Northeast Asia LNG fell to $34.60 per metric million British thermal units, MMBTU, down $1.50, they said.
Goldman Sachs said current oil price levels offer compelling opportunities for investors to reposition for an ongoing structural bull market, and OPEC's decision to increase output only supports this upbeat view. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and Allies, including Russia, a group known as OPEC+, agreed on Thursday to stick to their existing policy of monthly oil output increases. Slower shale production growth will come at the cost of a faster normalization in OPEC spare capacity, which would turn particularly bullish if no deal with Iran is agreed to in 2022, the bank said in a note dated Thursday.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
Zinc prices are due to remain firm over coming months on the potential for soaring power costs causing more disruptions at smelters, keeping supply and inventories tight. Benchmark zinc prices on the London Metal Exchange have shed about a fifth since surging to a 14-year peak in mid-October after smelter shutdowns in Europe were less severe than expected. However, since the start of the year, prices of zinc, which is mainly used for galvanizing steel, are up 16%.
China's industry ministry on Friday unveiled a 5-year plan aimed at the green development of its industrial sectors, vowing to lower carbon emissions and pollutants and to promote emerging industries so as to meet a carbon peak commitment by 2030. The world's top greenhouse gas emitter is aiming to bring its carbon emissions to a peak by 2030 and become carbon neutral by 2060. The Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, MIIT, reiterated the targets of cutting carbon dioxide emissions by 18% and energy intensity by 13.5% by 2025, according to the plan which covers the period between 2021 and 2025. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. Canada trimmed its estimate of the country's canola harvest, the smallest in 14 years, and slashed its assessment of durum production to the lowest level on record as severe drought scorched prairie crops, a government report on Friday showed. Canada is one of the world's biggest wheat exporters and the largest producer and shipper of canola, used to produce vegetable oil and animal feed. The country's drought has contributed to a drop in global supplies of high-protein wheat that is critical in bread making. Canola prices have soared this year to all-time highs as crushers and importing countries like China and Japan competed for meager supplies.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.